For so long, you may have carried the weight of people underestimating you, mocking you, or even trying to break your spirit. They assumed your silence was weakness. They believed your kindness was naivety. They thought they could cross boundaries, spread lies, or bring chaos into your life without consequence. But what they never understood is that being chosen means being protected. The same people who tried to work against you are walking into consequences they never expected. Their actions have stirred something far greater than themselves, and soon they will realize that interfering with your path was their greatest mistake. And before we continue, I ask you to stay with this video until the very end. Energy flows where attention goes, and your presence here matters. At the end of this message, write your most sincere wishes in the comments, along with the number 777. This is not only a way of declaring what you desire, it is a way of releasing that energy into the universe, aligning yourself with the flow of blessings that are already on their way. And while you're here, subscribe to this channel, because this is a place created for souls like yours, those who are awakening, those who are rising, and those who know they were never meant to be defeated. The truth is, the world often mistakes humility for weakness. You chose peace over conflict, silence over arguments, forgiveness over revenge. And while others may have seen that as weakness, it was actually wisdom. You understood that you did not need to fight every battle because not every battle deserved your energy. But those who took advantage of your grace will now learn that crossing someone with divine protection is not a game. There are unseen laws of life, spiritual truths that cannot be broken without consequence. And when someone chooses to come against a soul that has been set apart, they place themselves in the line of those consequences. You have probably noticed that those who tried to harm you often end up facing storms in their own lives. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it takes longer, but eventually, it always shows. This is not about wishing harm on others. It is about recognizing that the energy they sent out comes back to them. Those who lied about you, those who tried to block your progress, those who thought they could humiliate you, they planted seeds of destruction, and now they are forced to live in the harvest of what they sowed. Meanwhile, you rise, not because you are perfect, but because your path is aligned with truth. It may have felt unfair for a long time. You asked yourself why people could treat you this way and seem to get away with it. But the truth is, nothing goes unseen. Every tear you cried, every betrayal you endured, every moment you were treated unjustly has been accounted for. The scales always balance, even if it takes time. And in this new season, you will begin to see that balance unfold in ways that shock not only you, but also those who underestimated you. The tables are turning. The same mouths that spoke against you will be silenced. The same hands that tried to block you will now be forced to watch as you move forward. This is why it is so important to continue walking in peace. You do not need to fight or prove yourself to anyone. You do not need to waste energy trying to expose others. Your growth, your success, your resilience will do that for you. The ones who tried to bring you down will eventually have to sit in the presence of your rise. That is their consequence, not because you wished it, but because it is the natural order of life. And when it happens, you will not even feel the need to say, "I told you so." Your very existence will be the evidence. So hold your head high. Do not worry about those who tried to tarnish your name or stand in your way. They are already in trouble, not because of you, but because of the energy they chose to send into the world. Your focus should remain on growth, on purpose, on becoming everything you were destined to be. Because the truth is, No weapon formed against you will ever prosper, not when you are walking in alignment with who you truly are. It is often said that the brightest lights attract the most resistance, and you, carrying a light that few can truly understand, have been no exception. Many of the struggles you faced were not because you did something wrong, but because your presence itself unsettled those who were not ready to face their own shadows. They felt exposed in your authenticity. They felt threatened by your strength, even when you weren't trying to compete. And so they tried to cover their discomfort by projecting it onto you, spreading lies, questioning your worth, attempting to diminish your value. But what they failed to realize is that when someone rises against a soul chosen for a greater path, they are not just opposing you. They are opposing something far greater that walks with you. For years, you may have carried the weight of wondering why people treated you the way they did. Why did they gossip about you? Why did they envy you? Why did they seem to target you, even when you stayed in your own lane? The answer is simple. Your spirit disturbed their comfort. Your resilience reminded them of what they lacked. Your presence revealed truths they were unwilling to confront. And instead of facing themselves, they chose the easier route. They tried to attack you. But here is the truth. Their attacks could never change your destiny. At most, they slowed the surface, but beneath it, your foundation only grew stronger. And now the energy they directed toward you is circling back to them. This is the law of sowing and reaping, the unshakable rhythm of life. Whatever energy is released into the world eventually returns to its sender. Those who wished you harm will see harm unfold in their own lives. Those who tried to block your opportunities will find doors closing for them. Those who plotted in secret will find themselves exposed. This is not because you are seeking revenge, but because balance cannot be denied forever. For every action, there is a consequence. And when someone chooses to interfere with the journey of a chosen soul, the consequences become even more intense. You may even begin to notice how those who once laughed at you are now facing storms they cannot control. Those who once seemed untouchable are suddenly vulnerable. Those who thought they could stand in the way of your rise are now stumbling in their own downfall. And you will see clearly that it is not your hand that brought this. It is simply the unfolding of universal justice. The energy they tried to bury you with has become the weight that now presses them down. But do not let their downfall distract you. It is not your responsibility to watch them fall. It is your responsibility to rise. The moment you spend focusing on them is a moment you could be investing into your growth. Yes, they are in trouble. Yes, their choice is caught up to them. But your story has always been about more than their opinions. It has always been about your alignment, your purpose, your destiny. And when you remember this, you free yourself from the cycle of bitterness. You no longer need closure from them, because life itself provides the closure. Still, it is important to acknowledge that being chosen has not been easy. It often means walking through rejection without explanation, enduring betrayal without warning, and facing battles you never asked for. It means being targeted for reasons that do not make sense to the natural eye. But here is what you must remember. Those very experiences that were meant to destroy you became the training ground for your strength. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every rejection taught you resilience. Every battle taught you endurance. And now, what was once a curse has become your crown. So while others find themselves tangled in the consequences of their actions, you find yourself rising into a new version of who you are. Their chaos is no longer your concern. Their trouble is no longer your weight. You have outgrown the need to prove anything to them because the truth is unfolding for all to see. Those who messed with you underestimated who you were, and now life itself is reminding them of that mistake. Your focus now must remain steady. Continue to walk in integrity even when others do not. Continue to choose peace even when others sow chaos. Continue to align with your higher calling even when it costs you relationships. Because the same protection that has carried you this far will continue to surround you. The same energy that lifted you when you felt weakest will continue to elevate you. You do not need to fight for revenge. Your rise is the only response needed. One of the most striking truths about your journey is that you never had to fight back to be protected. The people who set traps for you often fell into their own. The lies they spoke about you eventually circled back to their own lives. The energy they poured into trying to break you always ended up breaking something in themselves. At first, it didn't make sense. You wondered why they seemed to prosper while you suffered. But time always reveals what is hidden. And now you can see that those who came against you only harmed themselves, because life never allows injustice to reign forever. This is why those who choose to interfere with the path of someone aligned with destiny eventually find themselves in situations they cannot escape. You are not just any person. You are someone who carries a unique calling, a strength that was not given to everyone. When someone rises against you, they are not simply coming against you as an individual. They are resisting something much larger, something beyond them. And that resistance creates turmoil in their own lives. They thought they were fighting you, but in reality, they were fighting their own reflection, their own darkness, their own consequences. Think back on the times when you chose peace instead of conflict. You could have spoken back. You could have exposed their lies. You could have fought fire with fire. But you didn't. You chose silence. You chose dignity. You chose to keep moving forward. And that choice is what protected you. Because in silence, your strength was building. In restraint, your authority was growing. While they wasted energy trying to drag you down, you were gaining wisdom, resilience, and clarity. That is why you are still standing today, and they are weighed down by their own actions. It is often said that what you send out into the world returns to you multiplied. Those who sent jealousy, envy, and lies toward you are now living in the reality they created. Their actions were seeds, and seeds always grow into harvests. Some of them laughed at you, thinking they had won. Some of them celebrated your struggles, believing you would never rise. But the celebration was temporary. Now they are forced to confront the truth that no one can destroy what was built on truth. They may have delayed your rise, but they could never stop it. And in the end, it is their own lives that reflect the chaos they tried to project onto you. And here is what makes it even more powerful. You never wished them harm. You never prayed for their downfall. In fact, there were times you still wished them well, even after what they did to you. And because you kept your heart clean, the energy surrounding you remained clear. You were not trapped in bitterness or revenge. That is why your path continued to elevate, slowly but surely. And that is also why their trouble is undeniable, because it does not come from you, but from the choices they made themselves. It is also important to recognize that being chosen often means being misunderstood. People cannot comprehend why you keep surviving storms, why you keep rising after every fall, why nothing they do seems to destroy you. They look at you and expect you to collapse, but instead, you stand taller. This confuses them, frustrates them, even angers them. And yet, they cannot deny it. Your endurance is unexplainable to them because they do not realize that you are protected in ways they cannot see. They believe their actions should have ended you, but instead, their actions only pushed you deeper into your strength. This is why those who mess with you are in trouble. Not because you fight back, but because you don't have to. The laws of life, the rhythm of energy, the unseen justice always balances the scales. It may take time, but it never fails. And when it comes, it often comes in ways that shock everyone. Those who thought they had power over your story suddenly lose power in their own. Those who thought they were controlling your narrative suddenly find themselves exposed. Those who thought they were ahead suddenly fall behind. All because they miscalculated who they were dealing with. So do not waste your energy worrying about who is against you. Their trouble is already unfolding, whether you see it or not. Your focus must remain on your own growth, your own purpose, your own destiny. Every ounce of energy you give to worrying about them is energy taken from your rise. And your rise is too important to be delayed any longer. Let life deal with them. Your role is to continue walking in strength, in clarity, in truth. Because the higher you rise, the clearer the difference becomes between you and those who tried to stop you. The same people who once underestimated you will soon have to admit they were wrong. They will watch as your life becomes evidence of resilience, as your reputation is restored, as your influence grows. And while they deal with the consequences of their actions, you will continue to rise, not out of revenge, but out of alignment. Because nothing they did, nothing they said, nothing they tried was strong enough to cancel what was already written for you. The irony of your journey is that you never had to raise your voice or prove yourself for the truth to be revealed. You never had to expose the lies because lies always expose themselves over time. Those who thought they were smarter, louder, or stronger than you failed to understand that strength is not measured in noise. It is measured in endurance. And your endurance has outlasted every rumor, every betrayal, every attempt to discredit your name. That is why their plans always fall apart, while your life keeps unfolding in ways they cannot control. People often think they can play with another person's destiny without consequence. They assume that their actions will be forgotten, that their words will disappear, that their manipulation will remain hidden. But energy does not lie. Every seed planted grows, whether in secret or in the open. Those who sow chaos cannot expect peace in return. Those who spread lies cannot expect truth to shield them. Those who try to humiliate you cannot expect honor to follow them. Sooner or later, the balance comes, and when it does, it comes in ways that cannot be ignored. What many never understood is that your silence was not weakness, it was strategy. You chose not to fight every battle because you knew not every battle deserved your energy. You chose not to respond to every insult because you understood that time reveals more than words ever could. And because of that choice, you preserved your strength. You kept your peace. You invested in your growth. Meanwhile, those who wasted their breath trying to bring you down only drained themselves. They fought battles they thought they were winning, but in reality, they were losing their own integrity, their own peace, their own credibility. Now the tables are turning. Those who once mocked you are being mocked by the very circumstances they created. Those who tried to shut doors on you are now knocking on doors that remain closed to them. Those who laughed at your struggles are now struggling themselves in ways they cannot hide. This is not about vengeance, it is about alignment. Life always restores balance. The universe does not forget, and destiny does not allow injustice to last forever. The reason those who cross you find themselves in trouble is because they underestimated the protection over your life. They looked at you and thought you were ordinary. They assumed your story was like everyone else's. But what they failed to see was the covering that surrounded you, the resilience that lived inside you, the alignment that carried you. They thought they were fighting you, but they were fighting something far beyond their reach. And no one who fights against what is greater than them ever wins. You must also recognize that your growth is their greatest fear. The reason they tried so hard to stop you was not because you were weak, but because they saw your potential. They sensed your rise long before you even believed in yourself. They saw flashes of your strength, glimpses of your influence, hints of your destiny, and it terrified them. So they did what fearful people always do. They tried to control what they could not destroy. But fear-driven actions always collapse because they are built on insecurity, not truth. And now their collapse is visible, while your rise is undeniable. This is why you must remain steady in this season. Do not waste energy looking back at who wronged you. Do not waste words trying to convince anyone of who you are. Your life will do the convincing. Your success will silence the critics. Your resilience will answer the doubts. The people who once defined you by lies will soon have no choice but to acknowledge the truth. They may never say it aloud, but deep down, they will know that you were never the person they tried to paint you as. And while their downfall may seem like justice, your focus must remain on your own rise. Let their lessons be theirs, and let your journey continue forward. Because your story is not about them, it is about you stepping fully into the identity you were always meant to carry. Their trouble is simply a side effect of your alignment. Their downfall is simply the echo of their own actions. But your rise? Your rise is the evidence that nothing they did was ever enough to stop you. So walk boldly now. You have nothing to fear. Those who tried to harm you are already dealing with consequences beyond your control. And you are stepping into freedom, into strength, into clarity. The shift is already happening. And as it continues, you will see clearly that those who mess with a chosen soul are always in big trouble. Not because you fought them, but because life itself fought for you. It is one of life's greatest mysteries that those who plot against others almost always end up trapped in the very nets they designed. They spent their time thinking about how to weaken you, how to break you, how to tarnish your name, but all the while, they were weaving ropes that would eventually bind themselves. Every action carries weight. Every word plants a seed, and every intention releases energy into the world. Those who intended harm against you are now facing the echo of their own energy, and there is no escape from it. You never had to fight with weapons of revenge. You never had to gather an army or defend yourself with endless explanations. Instead, you trusted time. You trusted patience. You trusted the silent laws that rule this universe. And because of that trust, you stood tall while others crumbled. Their biggest mistake was assuming your quiet strength was emptiness. They saw your calm and thought it meant weakness. They misinterpreted your patience as ignorance. But now they are realizing that your restraint was your greatest weapon. When people underestimate you, they reveal more about themselves than about you. They expose their own fear, their own insecurity, their own limited vision. That is why those who underestimated you find themselves in big trouble now. They thought they were pushing down someone fragile, but instead, they were pressing against a foundation stronger than they could ever imagine. The weight they tried to put on you bounced back on them, and it is heavier than they can carry. You are living proof that nothing done in the dark stays hidden forever. The truth always comes to light. Lies dissolve, masks fall, secrets leak out, and suddenly, the very people who once spoke against you are now exposed by their own contradictions. They worked so hard to make you look small, but the harder they pushed, the bigger your light grew. They thought they were silencing you, but they only gave your story more power. And now, whether they admit it or not, they are witnesses to the fact that nothing they did could stop you. Your survival is their greatest defeat, because you were not supposed to make it this far. In their minds, you were supposed to stay broken, stay defeated, stay buried under the weight of their words. But instead, you transformed every wound into wisdom, every setback into strategy, every loss into strength. And now you are not only surviving, you are thriving. That is why they are troubled. Because what they meant for harm became the very fuel that lifted you higher. Do not think for a moment that your pain was wasted. Every tear watered the soil for your next season. Every rejection redirected you to the right doors. Every insult sharpened your sense of identity. What they threw at you to break you became the bricks you used to build. This is the irony of a chosen life. Opposition does not destroy you, it refines you. And in that refinement, you became someone they could no longer touch. Those who once thought they had power over you are now powerless. The influence they had is slipping away. The control they enjoyed is no longer effective. Their strategies are failing because the season has shifted. What once seemed like their advantage has turned into their downfall. They cannot manipulate what is already aligned in your favor. They cannot block what is destined for you. They cannot erase what was written long before they even thought of your name. This is why you must walk with peace. Not the peace that comes from pretending everything is fine, but the peace that comes from knowing everything is working in your favor. The people who once stood against you are not your responsibility. Their trouble is not your battle. Their downfall is not your concern. What matters now is that you recognize how powerful your growth has made you. You are no longer in the shadows of their influence. You are standing in the light of your destiny. Every lesson you endured has shaped you into someone unshakable. And the greatest evidence of this truth is how unbothered you now feel by their attempts. What once would have broken you no longer touches you. What once would have made you cry now makes you smile. What once seemed like an ending is now just another beginning. You have evolved beyond their reach, and that evolution itself is the biggest trouble they will ever face. So remember this. Those who mess with you are not only fighting against you, they are fighting against the flow of destiny itself. And destiny never loses. You don't need to wait for their apology or their recognition. You already carry the victory in your life. You already stand as the proof that their battles were in vain. Walk boldly, knowing that every attempt to harm you only pushed you closer to the greatness you were always meant to carry. Your rise is unstoppable. Trouble cannot touch the destiny already written for you.